Alright. Yeah. So, I'm a little bit upset because DLU, at least the DLU hosted server, probably isn't that long for this world. Which is a little bit of a shame. Even more of a shame is that it's occurring at a time when I'm quite busy with uni, and so there's not really... I'm not really going to get to show it off as much as I would really like. Which, yeah, not great. But I figured, and yeah, mostly the reason why I'm a little bit upset about that is because it means I won't be able to finish my infamous coin quandary character on this. Although, DLU do plan to allow character continuity. In other words, you'll be able to export your character. So I will be able to keep that character later and may well, at some point in the future, see you guys on that account. But anyway. Really, I don't have a ton of LU stuff to say. I mean, I haven't properly looked over the comments of the previous video. In general, there are a lot of people who kind of feel like, oh, what's changed? And it's a good question, because the LU community has been distributing clients for pretty much as long as this has existed. And so it's a really good question to ask. Okay, well, wait a second. We always knew they were illegal, kind of, or that distributing them was. Why do we suddenly care about it? I can't answer for everyone. From my perspective, it's, for me, always been the case that since the days of uni, it seemed as though there was some sort of tacit acceptance, or not entirely tacit, but there was some degree of acceptance from the LEGO group of the existence of the LU community. Now, there isn't. Or specifically, it kind of made sense to assume that given the LU community was distributing... Great, that's my email notification noise. Given the LU community was distributing clients, kind of made sense to assume that... Yeah, let's actually mute that quickly. Oh, will you please stop emailing me about TEDx? I don't want to do... I'm angry. Because for those who haven't heard me talk about this in the past, I did a TEDx talk once at my university, signed up to the TEDx Society, and now they won't stop emailing me. And that's not why I'm annoyed. I'm annoyed because that TEDx talk was the worst experience I've ever had giving a talk. I love public speaking, and that was horrific for many, many reasons that I won't get into now. But yeah, anyway, getting back on track, there's... Oh, I wasn't paying attention to where I was going. I'm probably not going to make this. Oh, I did. Yeah, there's been rather a lot of, what's changed. And really, from my perspective, it was, in the past, TLG seemed to be happy. Sorry, that's the LEGO group, for anyone wondering. TLG seemed to be pretty happy with the existence of the LU community as a whole. Like, they seemed to accept it, and... yeah, that was about it. If they said we were fine to distribute their client, it was kind of the case that, okay, we're probably fine to distribute their client. The issue is that they never specifically said it was fine. There were emails basically saying, hey, do these things and we won't sue you, but I guess, in retrospect, kind of the important point is, well, okay, for starters, there was a single email of arguably questionable authenticity, but if you've got a whole community kind of dedicated to working on a game, or just being really excited about releasing, I guess questionable authenticity, yeah, arguably becomes less questionable. And I do know people did some stuff to try and disprove it being a fake, or at least to disprove various emails being a fake. I want to give this a go, actually, as well. Because I think I know how to do this solo, which was something I hadn't managed in the past. But yeah, so as for what's changed, basically it's that we've got a rather clear stance from LEGO that they're not alright with this, and, well, it's not entirely the fact that they're not alright with this, but that the other rights holders involved in the client might not be. Back in the day, it was kind of just like, yeah, LEGO said we're fine, we'll just go with that, that's good enough for us. Whoa, that's a quick cooldown. Okay, let's see if I can pull this off. Okay, that was nowhere near. But do I land in the air or not? I'm interested to see this. You don't spawn in the second you reach 100%. You spawn in a little bit before. I don't know when client physics turns on. I don't know how the physics actually works in that period, but huh. Well, that was really not what I expected to happen. So I guess you've got to, in theory, if you want to pull off this glitch, it's possible, but you've just got to time it with the last position update packet then. Be incredibly hard to do in hardcore LU, which was why I originally wanted to develop this glitch. But yeah, so effectively the point is that it's now been made pretty clear that TLG don't have the ability to say you can use our client. Certainly not alone, because there will be licenses involved with all the other rights holders, and TLG doesn't have sufficient rights to let us use the client. Which means this isn't a case of TLG suddenly deciding to cease and desist projects or anything like that. It's a case of TLG being like, yeah, okay, we now... Yeah, they've just actually looked into the legalities of it, and the legalities of it aren't brilliant. And so that's more or less where we stand for now. And so when... I know people are quite annoyed with places such as the LUCH for preventing client distribution, and are asking this question, what's changed? And this is basically the answer to... I wasn't ready. This is basically the answer to why lots of people involved in the community feel like something has changed, and why they're now taking more precautions than they were in the past, which is a real shame. And let's be clear, that doesn't mean that these people aren't interested in seeing LU projects continue. Like, they definitely are. The issue is just how to do it safely, and I mean, I highly doubt I'm the only person who is still actively thinking about stuff and trying to work things out, but yeah, so that's that. I just wanted to touch upon that briefly. It ended up not being so brief, but yeah, that's really what's changed, is the fact that now it's clear, now the legal side is effectively just more clear than it was before. And it's also not the case, as a bit of a misconception's been going around, that it's fine for just one person. That it's fine for instance, just one person to host the client, and they can take all the risk on themselves, because, yeah, okay, it's unlikely. Like, the issue of this is there's lots of risk going around, and it's unlikely LEGO will try and prosecute individuals, but they have the right to. Like, if you download the client, you are at the very least breaking their end-user license agreement in terms of service, but, like, you're doing quite a lot of stuff that was wrong. They'd probably have a good chance of prosecuting you under whatever jurisdiction you lie. More or less. I'm sure you could find a jurisdiction in which you'd be safe, but unless you happen to live there, that's not going to be of much help. So, yeah. And also, to clarify, this isn't legal advice, and I think that's kind of the point. lots of people are making statements in the community saying that stuff is fine, and the issue is that none of this is legal advice. A lot of people are guessing, saying what TLG can do and what TLG won't do, and there may be, and I think most people will acknowledge, low risk that TLG will actually do something, but before we get large groups of people who are not themselves well versed in the risks, wow, that was bad, or who are, for instance, kids and who won't understand the risks and the like, it's got to be, and or I say kids, but just anyone who doesn't have the time or experience with this. And also, we don't want to risk anything. We don't want to risk stuff happening in advance, stuff happening now that jeopardizes stuff in the future with DLU, because DLU and LEGO are technically still in talks, and something could come out of those, which could be completely risked by the community showing that they don't really care what LEGO think and going off on one behind LEGO's back to try and, or yeah, to sending around clients and doing a load of stuff without any moderation and the like. So yeah, that's that stuff. That wasn't really what this was going to be about. This was really just going to be a video of, well, more or less most of my videos, me mucking around. But I was also going to continue to talk about ferrofluids, because whilst I wasn't paying any attention there. I probably did that too soon. But I'm going to remember to press forwards this time. Because yes, I put out a video on that yesterday, well, this morning actually. I made the video yesterday. And depending on time zones, that may actually still be the same day for you. But yeah, because this channel's always been, as I mentioned at the start of the video, this channel's always been Ninja Warlog. The point of it being, for those who don't know, Warlog is a mathematical acronym used to mean without loss of generality, which basically means this is not just the me that makes YouTube videos, but I am actually more to it than that. Unfortunately, the downside is that the more to it than that tends to be 90% physics. But anyway, yes, so the part of the thing with this is these ferrofluids, as I discussed in that video, they tend to form some kind of characteristic structures. They tend to form what are known as labyrinthine structures because, well, they look like mazes. Specifically, they kind of branch out in loads of different directions, and it's not hugely clear. Okay, we're getting some lag. And it's not hugely clear in advance which directions they'll go. They don't form any easily discernible pattern. And so, why are we suddenly getting a lot of latency? And so the challenge now is basically, how do I want to investigate this somehow. I need to investigate this somehow for my project. How can I manage that? Given that what can I investigate given these things are random? People have already worked out and looked at the sizes of the walls of the labyrinth. So effectively, yeah, the wall thickness in the labyrinth and the spacing of the paths, more or less. People have looked at what magnetic field the ferrofluid starts to be pushed around enough this happens. Oh, and a quick summary for those who don't know, ferrofluid is basically just a magnetic liquid. I went into a bit more detail on that previous video about that, but yeah, it's just a magnetic liquid, more or less. And wow, we've got a lot of latency here. Enough latency I can probably go back and push the button again. Oh, okay, it won't let me, but okay. Wow, I wonder what actually caused that. Very strange. Yes, I do want to travel to Nexus Tower. Just want to see what happens if I travel to Nexus Tower multiple times. We seem to get the animation again. I just leave it. Seems nothing much. A little bit boring. But yeah. So what I've decided I thought might be quite interesting is to try and look at the positioning, distribution, various properties of the bends, or the points where walls end in the maze, and the points where walls split in two in the maze. That seems something that would be quite fun to do, and I'm beginning to develop a theory behind it. And I enjoy it, but I enjoy the same thing about it that I enjoy about speedrunning LU, which is the fact that there's some underlying complexity, and I start performing measurements and begin to come up with some sort of underlying theory. It's basically, I was about to say that one's basically physics, but easy. But I mean, that actually is just physics. I mean, okay, it's not an unexplored area of physics. But although, in fairness, I'm not certain the question I'm asking actually has been answered yet. But it's certainly an interesting area into which to look. I was going to go into more details about that, but honestly, I didn't want to do a video on it in and of itself, because I thought that would take too long, or not that it would take too long. Sorry, that I wouldn't have really much stuff to talk about. So I could give the basics, but also, if you haven't watched the previous video, I guess I could make it as a follow-up to the previous video, and I kind of already did that when talking about it here, but I wasn't certain how I was going to do it, basically. Okay, I would go for Battle of Nimbus Station now, but I'm not going to. The reason I'm not going to... Let's actually, wait. Let's take a look at some loadout stuff. I'm going to go for Avant Garden Survival. I'm not going to go for... Wait a second, what do I have for Imagination Recharge? I've got Hood of Quakes. And I can just do damage whilst running. Like, okay, I could have used Sorcerer Shoulder Pads, but honestly it's going to be easier to just use Jester Cap. And that allows me to do damage whilst running. I can recharge Imagination, more or less freely. By juggling hats, I should be able to keep a speed boost up most of the time, which means I should be able to dodge most of the projectiles, and I'll never have to turn around or run back. Issues occur in regenerating health and armor, because I will take some damage, and there's not much I can do to prevent that. And I don't, off the top of my head. Maybe it would be better to go Adventurer. I think the Adventurer rank 3 restores like 13 imagination or something like that. I'm just going to quickly look it up. LU Wiki, Adventurer. Wow. I went on Ecosia and got some slightly not the results I expected. Nothing like inappropriate. Well, I didn't read long enough to see if it would have been, but just not expected. Okay. Adventurer Backpack restores 10 health to nearby characters. I don't know if it makes you stand still whilst it does that. Which would be the only thing. Getting a little bit of lag here. Not certain what's causing that. Feels a little bit smoother now. That's client side lag though. But yeah, so I might do. I also haven't decided whether or not I do have a... This channel was originally done for kind of more rambling stuff. I do have a more physics-based channel, which I set up for the Veritasium contest. I might move all the Ferrofluid stuff over there. Obviously, I have to change the intro and outro saying this is Ninja Warlog. And will probably dox myself on that at some point, because like I'm happier using my real name is the nice thing to be able to do. Okay, Jester Cap, Hood of Quakes. Battlord helmet. And I just want to have, I guess, swap out to this, because I can charge that whilst I run. Have this on hand. This isn't going to be a particularly long run. I probably will do one at some point, because I've got a lot of consumables, and I might as well use them up. But this won't be that, because I am going to watch a theatrical production directed by a friend today. And that's happening in about 10 minutes. So I'm just going to try all this loadout. The issue really is going to be health. I'll have enough imagination, or at least I should be able to. Yeah, imagination shouldn't be a problem, because even if if I'm careful, I should never get low enough to have imagination be a problem. I should always be regenerating, but even if imagination does become a problem, or I do get low enough that I can't use the Hood of Quakes, because you need a certain amount of imagination to use that. Even if I do get that low, I can always use the Everlasting Hiccup tablets to save me. So just gonna begin. How have I already taken damage? Not certain. I am lagging a little bit. Oh, I probably didn't take damage. I probably just loaded something in and out. So yeah, what I really should be doing a little bit more actively is swapping gear back and forth. Really just want to have all this stuff up as much of the time as possible. But yeah, I haven't yet taken a single point of damage, which stems from the fact that I've got a near constant speed boost. If you eventually, so it really might be worth going eventually for survival actually, because if you eventually, you could keep up a constant speed boost, which is something I can't do. So not VL. But as it is, yeah, this just, oh shoot, I mucked up there. Yeah, as it is, keeping moving is the most powerful thing you can do in survival. And basically you want to tailor your loadout such that you never have to stop moving. Oh, first point of damage. But that's not bad, that's 2 minutes. Only 1 point of damage done to me so far. And that's because basically nothing can get near me. As long as I don't mess up my turns or anything like that. Or as long as I don't run into something or get caught out like I did there. The mechs aren't chasing me as much as they used to, which actually makes this a bit harder. Oh shoot, there we are. I've got to plan out a route that keeps me a reasonable distance away from most of the mechs. And hopefully this will clear them out a little bit. So it's not great, have been damaged a bit. Gotta just keep an eye on all my stats. Oh, I'm surprised I made that, okay. Yeah, it's that point when I run out of the... Yeah, so again, this would be something that should be significantly improved with going Venture League. It's that small period of time when I run out of a speed boost. So this small period of time. Speed boost up. Click. I'm amazed I didn't take any damage there. Did I time that right? No, I don't think I did. Okay, I'm taking a bit of damage, but as you can see, this is a pretty reasonable technique. Like, as long as there's still room for me to run around, I can pretty much do this indefinitely. Okay, I've got to give myself a little bit more time. Oh, that was close. This isn't good. No, that was completely the wrong button. I'm probably dead. I'm not dead. I'm not dead. Should be dead. Deserve to be dead after that. To clarify, that's in-game, not IRL. Please don't murder me. This was not a request for euthanasia. Okay. Yes, so all that happened there was I hit 5, and I should not have hit 5. Yeah, so I think this is, I mean, it's not a cheap or easy strategy. Like, it requires you have the Mojang Jester hat, which is definitely not cheap or easy, but it does work pretty well. I think we've actually reached the stage where, ooh, gotta be careful. Okay, yeah, there are certain times where you notice lulls in the number of enemies. Seems to have picked back up, though. I suspect it's related to some sort of internal spawn cap on the server. It'd be really nice to have keyboard controls to access inventory. It would make my life a lot easier. But it does, again, I actually enjoy this aspect of LU that I've started leaning more into recently, of quickly swapping between items, because it really increases the skill cap quite dramatically. Like, there's a lot more you can do with it. Misclick. It's fine, still not been damaged. Not been damaged, that is, since my regeneration spree. And yes, so DLU's leaderboards are not ordered by your... just keep moving. Yeah, DLU's leaderboards are not ordered by your time. They're ordered by some combination of your time and score. I think it might actually just be score. Don't remember off the top of my head. Basically, meaning you can't just do some sort of abuse of the AI or out of bounds trick to ensure that nothing ever hits you. However, well, arguably you probably can get away from abuse of the AI not noticing you, because AI will attack you if you attack it, even if you would otherwise be out of range of it. So actually, yeah. That probably hasn't changed. But, yeah, you could still, arguably, if you could get out of bounds and something couldn't get to you, you could probably use something like this. Depending on how the AI is structured here. However, you wouldn't be able to sit in bounds and abuse the AI. And, honestly, I think most of the time, if you did run out of bounds, the AI would just follow you. I don't think... Oh, yeah, that's interesting. You may have noticed I jumped extra high into the air there. You may also have noticed that I haven't been paying sufficient attention to my imagination. So let's just ensure I'm still on a good footing with that. So I do need to keep a bit closer. Oh, hey, damage. Do need to keep some closer tabs on that than I have been. But that's looking a little bit better now. There we are. Just want to, at all times, have the imagination regen ability up. Like, I know it was already up at that point in time, but... Oh, okay, let's keep moving. There we are. I don't know if I took a little bit of damage there. so I think I did take about 1 point of damage at some point. But as you can see, this is a more or less indefinite loop that does involve you dealing damage to enemies, so you could use it even in DLU's current system. How DLU could improve it? They could have it take into account the rate at which you smash enemies as well. Or maybe like look at the rate at which, yeah, something related to extrapolate the rate at which you smashed enemies near the end, like in your last minute, say, back for the whole time you've played. Maybe something like that? Because that then requires that you are actively, quickly smashing enemies at the end. I guess you could just... Now that's a little... I wanted to get, in some sense, the rate at which you were smashing enemies, because you could just do the average rate of enemy smashing and rank results by that. The issue is that then lets people just smash a couple very, very quickly. And at any rate, I have reached 10 minutes. So I think I'm going to call this here, because I could do this indefinitely. Might go for a high score run in a bit, but thank you all very much for watching, and I will see you around. Bye.